So, what's humanity's next giant leap? Well, for some of the smartest people on the planet, the answer isn't here on Earth at all. It's on our red neighbor, Mars. We're going to dive into the absolutely wild plan to build a real, working city on another world. And this isn't some far-off dream. This is a direct quote reflecting the vision of people like Elon Musk. By 2050, that's not that far away, the goal is a city of 1 million people on Mars. And we're not talking about some tiny research outpost. We're talking about a completely self-sufficient civilization, one that doesn't need Earth to survive. The scale of that idea is, well, it's almost hard to wrap your head around. So that brings us to the big question, right? Is this whole Mars City thing just a cool fantasy, something you'd see in a movie? Or is this actually the future we're building right now? To figure that out, we need to look at the plan, and it all starts with why we'd even think about leaving home.
Yeah, before we get into the how, we have to talk about the why. I mean, why would we go through all this trouble? It's not just about adventure or exploration. For many, it's about having an insurance policy for humanity, driven by some pretty serious warning signs right here on Earth.
You know, the reasons we're even having this conversation are getting harder and harder to ignore. Our fossil fuel habit is cranking up the planet's thermostat, which is melting glaciers and making things like floods and cyclones way more common. On top of that, our protective ozone layer is taking a hit, which means more dangerous solar radiation gets through. The science is pretty clear. We just can't assume Earth will be this hospitable forever.
Now, you might see a number like 0.16 degrees Celsius and think, that's tiny. But here's the thing, it adds up. Every single decade, another 0.16 degrees. That steady, relentless climb is what's so dangerous. Over time, it could make huge parts of our world unlivable. And that makes the search for a plan B feel less like a fun project and more like an absolute necessity.
Okay, so if Earth is plan A, why does everyone immediately jump to Mars for plan B? I mean, we've got other planets in the solar system. What's so special about the red planet?
Well, let's look at our neighbors. You've got Venus and Mars. Venus is actually closer, but it's just no way. It's a scorching furnace with temperatures hot enough to literally melt lead. So that's out. Mars, on the other hand, is dangerously cold and a bit farther, sure, but its problems are different. They feel more like a puzzle that we think we can actually solve with technology. It's not perfect, not by a long shot, but it's the best shot we've got.
And let's be really clear about something. Mars is an absolute death trap. The average temperature is 100 degrees below zero, the air has almost no oxygen, there's no liquid water just sitting around, and oh yeah, the entire planet can get swallowed up by massive, devastating dust storms. So the challenge isn't just getting there, it's figuring out how to not die the second you step outside.
Okay, so this is where the real genius comes in. It's not just a vague idea. There's a serious, multi-phase plan being developed. A plan to not only get us to Mars, but to make sure we can actually live there. Phase 1 is maybe the coolest part, and it happens before a single human even suits up. We send in the robots first. But these aren't just little rovers taking pictures. Think of them as an autonomous construction crew. Their job is to find the right kind of Martian dirt, dig it up, and feed it into giant 3D printers. They'll literally use the planet itself to build the first shelters, creating a safe haven from radiation and those brutal storms. Once those robot-built shelters are ready, the stage is set for us, and the target date for that first human crew to touch down is 2026. Their mission? To turn those empty shells into a fully functioning base.
The first colonists are going to live in what's basically a base within a base. They won't be living right against the 3D printed walls. Instead, they'll set up these inflatable, pressurized habitats inside the shelters for an extra layer of protection. Power will come from a massive solar farm, and if they need to go anywhere, they'll use special rovers that can dock right onto the habitats. You never have to break that seal and expose yourself to the Martian air.
But you can't be a real city if you're constantly waiting for supply ships from Earth. The next step is all about living off the land. This means greenhouses for growing food, think potatoes and beans. It means making your own breathable air with a device that's actually already been successfully tested on Mars. It basically sucks in the carbon dioxide atmosphere and spits out oxygen. And for water, you drill down and melt the huge amounts of ice we've discovered frozen just under the surface. So, okay. We've got a plan for humans to survive inside a little bubble on Mars. That's incredible. But what about the really big picture? The long-term dream isn't just to live on Mars, but to actually change Mars itself.
This is where the plan goes from survival to straight-up transformation.
Is it possible to re-engineer an entire planet? To make it so hospitable that one day humans could walk around on the surface without a helmet? The whole process is called terraforming, and the ideas for how to do it are, well, they're about as ambitious as it gets.
One of the big ideas is basically to give Mars a dose of industrial-scale global warming. On purpose. The concept is you build these massive factories that do nothing but pump out greenhouse gases. It's kind of ironic, right? We'd be using the very process that's causing problems here on Earth to deliberately warm up Mars, thicken its atmosphere, and make it a better place to live.
Then there's the, let's call it the more direct approach, famously pushed by Elon Musk, just nuke Mars. The idea is to detonate thousands of nukes high up in the atmosphere over the Martian poles. The intense heat would vaporize the ice caps, releasing a colossal amount of carbon dioxide that's trapped in them. This would, in theory, jumpstart a powerful greenhouse effect and thicken the atmosphere really fast. It's a wild and controversial idea for sure, but it's a potential shortcut to terraforming.
So whether it's the slow and steady factory method or the Big Bang nuclear option, the path forward is a really, really long one. It's all built on a series of carefully planned steps that will stretch out over decades and even centuries.
So here's how the roadmap looks. It all kicks off in 2026 with that first handful of pioneers. After that, every 2 years, when Earth and Mars line up perfectly, we send more people and more stuff. The big milestone is 2050. That's the target for a truly self-sustaining city of 1 million people. But the ultimate prize, a completely terraformed Mars that feels like a second Earth, that's a project for our great-great-grandchildren. We're talking 200 years, maybe even longer.
And all of this leads to one final, really important question we have to ask ourselves. Is this incredible vision humanity's destiny? Is it our ultimate backup plan? Or is it just a huge, dangerous distraction that's pulling our attention and our resources away from solving the very real problems we have right here on our home planet?